There we go. All right. So same thing goes. I'm gonna go over all the pairs that I trade. If you have any questions, please interrupt me. It helps me more than it helps you as far as helping you teach a little bit better. Okay, let's start off with the first pair, AUD USD. So when it comes down to AUD USD, um, I got in it at this point. Whenever you see these green lines on my graphs, that usually means where I got in at the trade. So overall, the market was showing me a lot of potential to go on the upside. The reason I say that is because of the fact that if you look at the, not even on a daily, but overall, the first thing I'm going to look at is on the monthly, just to give you guys the reference that we usually always look at the monthly. How market has broken away from this bearish trend line. He has retested on this support at this level, and it has not necessarily passed beyond that. It has to an extent pushed beyond this point, but it's still within the general area, so we're not going to take it as a breakaway. So on a daily, same information, market has broken, has resisted at this level, and we do see this giant wick on the downside, which is a lot of confirmation that the market is getting exhausted with sellers. Now, when you look at the 4 hour, the reason I got into this specific buy was because of this information right here. We see this beautiful bearish trend line of respect to this point until it breaks away and retests at this support, which is its previous, in a sense, low and high. So at this level, this support, which is our lows and highs, we see a lot of support at this level. So overall, we saw a lot of consolidation within the 1 hour right here in this level, and that's when I decided to get at this point. So when it came down to the 4 hour, I executed this trade and it hit all the way up here, but I decided to remain patient and just wait it out. And then it retraced back into its re-entry point and it's back in profits. So overall, my expectation for AUD USD is very bullish as far as right now. What I'm expecting is the market to consolidate a little bit more. Perhaps if you reach my TP at this level, I do expect it to go a little bit higher, but I'm just going to be patient and wait it out to see what other information I have. If I start to see a little bit more wicks on the upside, I'm going to start to put my stop loss a little bit higher just because I don't want it to just in the point start going down below these levels. So that's AUD USD. It's a very simple analysis. I mean, we're in the middle of the week. Bias is still very simple. If you want to get into a trade on this one, I would honestly wait for it to break away from this consolidation zone. Let me see if I can see a little bit more information on the 1 hour. Yeah, it would be beneficial to wait until it breaks away from this consolidation zone because you can definitely catch it if it goes up here and potentially go into a sell because it might consolidate for a little bit longer. But at the same time, you do not want to get in trade at this point because it can go either way. So just be patient, just wait out. I mean, it's not going to go anywhere. So that's as far as AUD USD is a very simple trade setup. And it's been good to me so far. So we're just gonna wait it out. I'll send more updates on the group chat to show if there is a potential for it to get in as a buyer. So depending on where it reaches at this point, this is a very vital point. I want to wait and see where it goes from this point forward. Okay, that's AUD USD. Sorry guys, got some messages. Okay, so now when it comes down to EU, okay, I know some of you guys were trading EU. So far on EU, I'm about, I want to say about a little bit over 70 pips up. So I got into it, I believe, on the 4 hour. If I'm not being mistaken. Yeah, I got into it around this level and waited out until they reached this point. Now, the reason I got into EU at this point is because we look at the monthly. The information is vital. We do see the market retest at this point when it comes out to the bearish trend line. Overall market is retesting at this previous resistance, which is at this level, and now it's becoming support. So that's very vital information. There's a new higher high, which is also an expectation for the market to continue up. So now from that point forward, we look at the daily. On a daily, we do see a market respecting this. This is when I saw this, this is around the time when I was gone. So when I saw this, I was like, man, this is a great opportunity that was missed heavily on a daily because this is a lot of money that they made just specifically on a daily because of the fact that we see this bearish trend line right here respected once, twice, three, and then broken away and then retested. And not only that, we also have the confirmation of this bearish wick and bullish wick that we have right here. All of these wicks on the downside. Thanks for whoever's turned off the mic. So all these wicks on the downside is very clear-cut information that there was a potential for the market to continue back up. That was very good information just because of that. Now we look at it daily. We're looking at the 4 hour just to give us a little bit more information. We do see this consolidation within the market. The reason I got into it was because of the fact that we had not seen a push away from this resistance. We had not seen a breakaway. The fact that we see all these wicks on the upside is also giving us indication that the market is being exhausted when it comes down to buyers. So just based on that information alone, I got into it as sell. Market is retesting at this point alone. So what I do expect to happen is this market to retest this previous support to become resistance and then maintain a downward trend. So that's what I'm looking at when it comes down to EU. I would honestly wait for, if you guys want to get into this specific trade, I would wait for it to retest at this point and have a little bit of consolidation just to confirm that trade setup. Because if you don't confirm it, it could definitely just consolidate a little bit and then shoot back up. So you just want to wait for that consolidation, those wicks on the upside and the downside to give us a clear cut information that it is going to continue back down. So that's when it comes down to EU so far. Now we're going to look at UCAT. UCAT was great. Man, this week was good. I mean, I haven't been trading for a whole 2 weeks, and I'm glad that I came back because there's some good trade setups. These were simple, clear-cut trade setups. There was nothing too complex about them. There was no more analysis or anything like that. But overall, we look at the monthly first. So when it comes down to the monthly, we see this information market has respected this bullish trend line, respected it once, twice, and it has broken away on the downside. So overall, it's respected at this point again. And it's not creating a sense of consolidation, not really giving us direction on the upside or the downside. So when it comes down to monthly, we don't look at it for direction. We just look at it to give us an idea of a potential market move that we could potentially have within the next few days or weeks. So now we look at it daily. Overall market has respected this bearish trend line. Market broke once from here, and it's retested at that support, which is at this previous zone over here. So that's on a daily. There's not that much information to get into that trade at that point. But what really clear cut gave me that information was this bullish trend line. So overall, guys, when it comes down to trading, it is not a difficult thing to do. It's very simple. The only thing that's hard is the psychological part, is trusting your own analysis. You got to be able to do that, because if you can't trust your analysis and if you can't execute, you're basically just going to be basically given a whole, like, the opportunity to make a lot of money, just not having the guts to actually do it. So overall, we see these bullish trend line once, twice, three. And when I saw that fourth hit and these wicks on the downside, I was like, this is a done deal. There's a potential for the market to continue back up and at least touch this previous high. So when it did that, it exactly hit 51 pips. Overall, what we're seeing right now is a market that has reached above that. But when it comes down to UCAT, there's another thing that I want to emphasize, is that UCAT does not react like all these other pairs. It does move a lot. It has a lot of volatility. It could definitely continue back down or continue back up. So for me, if I want to get back into this trade as a potential buyer or sell, I would honestly just wait for it to break away from this generator. So we have this support and we have this resistance at this point. So I needed to break away from this. With UCAT, I don't like playing around with it because of the fact that it is very volatile. You can see right here, all of these wicks, all of these big movements. You don't want to mess when it comes up to a pair like this. So I would rather wait for it to at least consolidate and break away from either direction, because once it breaks away, it gives you an exact direction it's going to take. So overall, it breaks away, retest, and then it starts going. So I don't have a bias on UCAT so far. I'm just taking it as it is, just based on the information that we get for the next several days, because honestly, I don't see a setup for UCAT for the rest of the week. So that's so far when it comes down to UCAT. Very simple setup. If you guys caught any of those trades, I'm very happy, because those were very simple trades, to be honest. Now we're going to UJ. Okay, so UJ, we saw it move all the way back up. So first thing first, we're going to look at the monthly. So when it comes down to the monthly, same simple information I always emphasize. Look at the trend lines. We see a market on a bullish trend line, breakaway, retest at this point. Then we do see a bearish trend line at this level. So we do see two, in a sense, trend lines being, in a sense, directly correlating with each other. So we see bullish and bearish. They both correlate with each other when it comes down to these points. They have these retests at this level and at this level, and then we have retests at this point, which is honestly just giving me kind of information that could potentially continue back up just based on that. So we look at it daily. Overall market has given us a lot of indication that it's going to maintain a bullish trend just because of this very simple information. Market has retested this bearish trend once, twice, three times, broken away from it, and now we tested on the outside almost exactly Now, when you get things like this to the almost exact point, which is very odd, you try to look at it a little bit more clear, just because of, it can be a coincidence or not. But overall, we do see the retest, and then the market has consolidated within this general area. We do see these wicks on the downside, which is meaning that we have a lot of sellers exhaustion, which is a lot of momentum on the upside that is being fulfilled at this point. So we do see this giant ass candle overall. So that was a great move. Market hit me over here, but my expectations, honestly, for UJ is all the way up here. So far, it is going to be a very long trade for me. I'm not going to lie, but I do see the expectation for the market to maintain that movement. I will continue adding into this trade when it comes down to trading UCAD overall. I mean, not UCAD, UJ, and any other pair. If you do see potential to get into it again, please do so, because of the fact that you have those confirmations. So the reason I say that is because the market has broken away from these previous highs, which is this level, and it has retested it as support. So that is very good information when it comes down to UJ. So far, we're just going to wait and see what happens from this point. If you want to be patient and if you want to have a clear cut trade setup for this one specifically, I would honestly just wait for it to break from this consolidation. But if you do definitely have, you see the potential for the market to maintain an upward trend, I would definitely see what's going on right here. We're going to wait and see for a little bit more consolidation within this area. If you do see a lot more wicks on the downside, then there is a potential for the market to continue back up from this exact point. So I would keep an eye on that. Don't hesitate. If you want to execute, please do so, because that is your money to be made. So we're always starting to see it on a 1 hour. It's consolidation, which is great news. So we're just going to wait and see what happens within the next 3 hours, because I do see it actually giving us the actual direction in the next 3 to 4 hours to be exact. So that's UJ so far. Potential for it to go up is my bias. So now let's go to Ripple. Okay. I don't know about you guys, but when I saw this, I was like, this is why cryptocurrency is such a dangerous thing to play with. You do not want to place your stop losses very low, because it could definitely move like crazy. So overall, we are seeing the market reach a low that it has not reached in a while. So overall, we're just having to identify that the market has broken away from this very strong support, which is all this level. This is very strong support. So that's a lot of information to be taken not lightly, because of the fact that this market does not necessarily reach those points at all in the last, almost in the whole year, to be honest. But overall, the reason we're seeing that is a lot of things, to be honest. But what I'm trying to identify right now is where the market's going to go back up. So a lot of people would say, well, the market is potentially going to go back up because of the fact that it hasn't reached that low. But you have to be analytical when it comes down to these pairs. Don't necessarily just get into a trade setup just because you expect it to do something, because it could definitely go the other way. You don't know how markets move. There's no 100% guarantee how it's going to move. So analyze it, make sure that you're 100% right. So for me, to be honest, I do not want to mess with Ripple right now because of the fact that it has reached this low. I'm just going to patiently wait until it breaks away from this when it comes down to the support system, because I'm not going to mess with it, because this is a lot of money to be made or lost in Ripple, because cryptocurrencies do not act like regular currencies. So just wait until it breaks away from this support or this resistance, and then it gives you the direction. There's no rush in this game. Don't try to make the money fast. Just try to make it last. That's how it works. So this is basically Ripple. That's my only analysis I'm going to give you guys, because that's really all I'm going to wait for. We have all these other pairs to look at. There's no need for us to rush into a Ripple trade at this point, if it's at this very exact point at this moment. So US30. US30, which is, if you guys trade the US30, I would highly recommend, please trade it. Look at this simple ass trade setup. US30, you do need a lot more money to trade it, because of the fact that it is very, in a sense, it requires a lot of capital, because it does move not drastically, but the movements within it is just a lot of capital within the movement. So overall, we see support here, only comes down to this trend line, retest 3 times. That's on a daily. When it comes down to the 4 hour, overall market has, in a sense, confirmed this trend line once, twice, 3 times, and over here, 4th time. So what really made me get into this specific trade was this. So this looks like a weird trend line, but overall it makes sense to me, just because I've analyzed US30 a while, and I'm just come to understand it a little bit more. So overall market retested once, twice, 3, and 4 or 5 times over here at this point. So the reason I say that is because of the fact that we do see on a daily this trend line, it respected it once, and then over here on the 1 hour, the trend line respected it at least a good 2 times at this point. So when I saw that and I saw the market retest on this support as well, there was a lot of confirmation that the market would not push below this as far as that was concerned. So I got in exactly within like the hour of this trade, and then it shot back up and hit my TP, which was at my previous right here resistance at this level. So overall, I did expect the market to continue back down. There was a high probability for me to get into a trade, but I just didn't. I was good with what I got. So overall, we do see expectation market push back down and then overall hit back to below these levels, which would have been a great trade setup for anybody that's. So overall, what we're waiting for when it comes down to um, this specific trade is honestly when it comes down to this, it's retesting at that trend line for me specifically. So I'm just gonna be more patient with it. And just same thing I always apply to it is just wait for it to break away from this area. So overall I'm just gonna wait for it to break. Like I said, there is no rush to be in this game. Just be patient. There's always movements to be caught. And there's no need for you to be making millions of dollars right now because it's gonna come eventually. So just be patient within this and just wait for it to break away from one of these levels because it's a very in a sense. If it retested at this point, which I'm really hoping it does and I'm expecting it does, is because of the fact that there is a trend line on a daily at this point. So once it retests within this general area, there's a high probability sell. Right now, we're not getting the sell because my risk management would be way off. My risk management would have to be all the way up here, and my TP would have to be on an unknown zone. But when it hits this point, my TP could definitely be within this general area, and my stop loss could be above this level. So we're gonna wait and see until it hesitates within this general area, consolidates, and then there's a potential for it to move back down. So that's a definite sell for me. Not saying that it's gonna happen 100%, but there's a potential for that to happen. So that's all the pair setups. If you guys have any questions, feel free to ask. Any input, up to you guys. But if you don't, hope you guys have a great day. And it's been long 2 weeks, but hopefully you guys made some money. And if anything, you're getting better to get to that point where you can actually start making an income when it comes down to trading because it's an amazing concept. It's amazing to make money through this because you don't have to do literally anything physical as far as manual labors. And most of y'all have immigrant parents and are, in a sense, a minority. So you understand where I'm coming from when it comes down to hard labor. So if you can make this happen, you can avoid all of that and put your family in a better position so they never have to touch anything like that again. So hope you guys have a great night, and I'll see you guys on Sunday at around 3 p.m. before the market's open.